Welcome to my channel. Let's talk about it, Dr. Charlotte Jackson. This is part two. Talk about my upcoming book, Who Knew God Could Use Broken Things. So the second person I will be talking about in my upcoming book is my second husband. His name is Thaddeus. In the book, we had 3 children together. Me and Thaddeus got together shortly after me and Chance separated. We wasn't fully divorced, but we separated. Me and Thaddeus got together. And once again, I thought this was the love of my life. God finally sent somebody to rescue me. From my life. Like we would live happily ever after. You know what I'm saying? But this relationship didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to turn out. So I didn't think Chance loved me. And I remember saying a prayer, Lord, send me a jealous man, somebody who loved me and only me. One of those prayers, not really knowing what I was asking God for at 19 years old. And I just want this man to love me and nobody else. Like I wanted it to all to be about me. I wanted him to be so jealous of me. And so I ended up getting that jealous man that I prayed for. Me, I'm not really knowing like to the extent what I was talking about when I said jealous man. I wasn't talking about the overrated jealous. I meant what I really was trying to say at the time, but did not say it right. I wanted a man who just actually, it didn't have to, love me for me, didn't step out with other women. And for as I know of, I never known him to step outside of our marriage to be with another woman. Never known him to be a cheater. If he did, he kept it between him and the good Lord. And that's the way it should be. When somebody cheat on you or whatever, it should never reach that doorstep of that main woman. I'm not saying cheating is right, but it never got back to me. He was the only one that I never caught cheating on me. So let's move on with the story. So we was together now for about a year, and we finally ended up having our first child. I didn't think I could have babies, but I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and prayed. I cried. I felt like Hannah in the Bible. And God finally blessed me with a child. And our firstborn child was born in 2000. And during this relationship, I went through a whole lot with Thaddeus. Abuse. Mentally, physically, sexually, you name it. It was abuse. And I'm not saying I was perfect in this relationship, but I tried to do what I could. I was 19, by the way. I did what I thought I should do as a wife. And somebody once told me when I was with Chance, they said, you do all you can do in a relationship. And if that relationship fall apart, you know that you did everything you can to save it. So I took that advice when I was with Thaddeus. I was like, well, I'm going to do everything I can as a wife to make sure I do my part this time around. But when a person abuses you so much, you don't want to try to be that wife that you was meant to be. You really now looking for a way out. So I run back to the church. I run back to God. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to God. And God going to fix all of this for me, right? God going to fix my marriage. We're going to be married. We're going to live happy ever after. Because when we got married, neither one of us was in church. Thaddeus finally gave his life to God. It didn't go very well. And I would go to the church people and say, oh, submit to your own husband. Be submissive to your own husband. I'm literally telling them that this man is beating my tail. This man is this right here. Well, just pray about it. Just pray about it. It's misguided information from the church. Stop telling people. When somebody come in there and guide for guidance, and y'all want to tell them, oh, be submissive to your own husband. Well, my husband's supposed to love me the way Christ loved the church. But y'all not telling them to love me as Christ loved the church, but you telling me that I got to be submissive to him. No, I'm not. I wasn't. And I told them, if I have to do all this right here, then I'm leaving this church. So I'm not going to, no, because I'm not going to be with somebody that tells me that it's okay for a man to beat my tail. And it's not. So, to go back, so later they allowed him to become a deacon. He became a minister. They said, oh, Sister Charlotte, you need to be a missionary since Daddy is going to be a minister. I said, no, I'm not, because I don't love my husband the way that God want me to. And I'm just keeping it real. Like, oh, you crazy. I'm like, no. The Bible says, set your own house in order before you try to rule over his house. I said, everybody's supposed to be on a mission for God. So I don't have to carry the title to do God's work. I would never take a title in vain. If I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, I don't want that title. And I knew at that time that I did not love my husband. And I'm looking for a way out now. And so as time go by, I prayed and I prayed. And let me just pray about it. So I prayed and prayed. And I said, Lord, if this marriage is not for your glory, if this marriage is not for your glory, I want out of it. I want out of it. And God delivered me from that marriage. But this is what he spoke to me before he delivered me from it. He said, well, I gave you what you asked for. So I'm looking puzzled. I'm like, what you mean? You gave me what? I didn't ask for this. He said, you asked for a jealous man, so I gave you a jealous man. I said, well, Lord, I didn't know what I was asking for. And he said, I'm going to get you up out this marriage. He said, but I'm going to punish you before I get you out of this marriage. He said, I'm going to punish you before I get you out of this marriage. And that way, and so what had happened was during that time was, he said, because I told you not to marry neither one of them. So God was telling me that he told me not to marry Thaddeus or Chance. I'm like, well, what do Chance have to do with this right here? Like, that marriage been over years ago, so why now? So it's like almost, 6 years later, I believe, that God is now punishing me for marrying Chance and Thaddeus at the same time. And I said, well, and I was able to go back to the house and go through that marriage because God had spoken to me and said he was going to get me out of it. And the way that God got me out of it, I was pregnant at the time with me and Thaddeus' third child. I went into preterm labor at 7 months. I had to stay in the hospital for like a month and a half. Then they let me out on this pump. That I had to have medicine pumped through my leg to stop my contraction, because my contraction was never stopped. And I went and stayed with my mother at that time. So God removed me from that situation. And he said he was going to deliver me. So as time goes, so after this right here happened in May, I had the baby in July. In August, Daddies came and kidnapped the kids from my mama's house. And I didn't know where my kids was at for almost a month. So I finally got my kids back. And I went I was like, well, Lord, you said you're going to get me out of this marriage. So I went to go file for a divorce. So, and I'm going to leave that story right where it's at. And you just have to read the book to see all the things that Thaddeus took me through in this relationship and what I had to go through with church people. Because they're like, oh, you cannot get no divorce. Even if he do leave you, you cannot get no divorce in God. I'm like, well, if I can't get no divorce in God, then I'm leaving this church. Because I'm not going to stay married to this man. And I got out of church. Like, you're not going to control me, telling me how to live my life and tell me what I cannot get. When God spoke to me and said that he told me not to marry neither one of them, so who I'm going to listen to, God or man? So, I'm telling y'all this right here. A lot of people not going to listen to me when it comes to church because they already wrapped in and they sold out and believe what they telling y'all to believe. But that's on you. I cannot make you change your mindset. But I'm telling you right now, If you don't draw close to God and ask God to show you the truth and his will, you're going to be lost just like they're going to be lost, because a lot of church has misguided people in so many ways, and God has opened it up to me. So I'm reaching out and I'm telling y'all this right here for a reason. I will bring lessons later on about the church, but right now I'm just keeping it strictly about my book. So read my book about me and Thaddeus' relationship and the things that Thaddeus took me through, the struggles that I went through, dropping out of school, everything. Like, you just have to read the book. I'm just giving y'all a little background of what happened. I don't want to go too deep, but just know I was abused in that relationship. Thank you. Happy New Year, and thank you for tuning in.